What's up, family? Welcome to Speak. It is about to be the best show of the offseason. It was a huge day yesterday, in case you missed it. So much to get to with the NFL draft. I'm Emmanuel Acho, far end. That is Dave Helman.
Oh.
Dave, this is your time of year.
Yes.
How excited are you for today?
I mean, yesterday lived up to every expectation. And the thing I wish more people realize is we're just getting started, baby.
That's it.
Day 2, we got the second round. We got 5 more rounds of this. I'm just getting going. I'm on cloud 9.
He knows all there is to know about the draft. He will break down so much over the next 90 minutes. Glad to have y'all here. Next to him, it is Joy Taylor. Joy, a lot of things surprised you yesterday.
Man, it was a wild day yesterday.
I love it. I love it.
We're going to discuss.
I live for it. Eagles all-time rushing leader, LeSean, Shady, McCoy, Birds made some moves. Shady's here to talk about them. But head over to the big board because I want to bring y'all up to date on all the craziness that happened. Now, the first overall pick, we already knew who that was going to be. Bryce Young on the far end to the Carolina Panthers. But the madness really just started after that because the Houston Texans did something crazy, not at number 2, but at number 3, after drafting C.J. Stroud. They went ahead and took Will Anderson. And then, to everybody's shock, the Colts made the move that many doubted, but not the Colts. Anthony Richardson. They got him at the number 4 position. Remember, Anthony Richardson, a lot of people have question marks about him. NFL draft is like football Christmas. Let's get back and figure out who really won the first round. There's so much to discuss. Your team made a pick yesterday. How significant was that pick? Shady, I want to ask you first.
Yeah.
Who in the world won the first round of the NFL draft?
I mean, we could easily go to the obvious and Philadelphia, PA, and talk about the Eagles, what they did. But I'm going a different direction, right? And what was surprising to me was I got to go with the Texans, right? DeMeco Ryans, who's a former teammate of mine, he's the head coach of the Texans. He did some big things. You go get your quarterback in C.J. Stroud for the franchise, for the future. Somebody that's used to winning, a lot of talent, big arm. Big play capabilities, from him. And then you go to the defense. You get your quarterback, then you get your DN, your pass rusher, Will Anderson Jr. So you got an offense and defense, top of the litter. I'm happy for him. I think that now, going forward, you can build your team up. But you got to get a pass rusher in this league. You got to get a quarterback. They got both in the same draft, so I'm going with the Texans.
Texans won the draft in your mind. Joy, you were watching the draft attentively. Who won in your mind?
I got to go with the Texans also. I got to be honest. I don't really listen too much to any of these little crazy rumors out there. Oh, the Texans might not take a quarterback. Why wouldn't the Texans take a quarterback?
You look really smart today.
Why wouldn't the Texans take a quarterback? Sure, but come on. I mean, look, I get it. It's lying season, and look, occasionally you got to tell a little fib every once in a while. It's fine. It's strategy. But I do love this, and I love this because be aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, take big swings. I'd rather go down swinging than go down soft.
Yep.
And I love that the Texans are saying we're going all in. We'll see if it works out. DeMeco has a long contract. He might as well set himself up with young talent. And listen, for all the talk about if C.J. Stroud is good or not, he heard all of it. Yeah. You saw his face. He was genuinely happy and surprised. He was not sure that that's what was going to happen. Yep. You could tell that. You could tell in the way that he's talking. So even though it's kind of hard to say you're an underdog with the number 2 pick in the draft, he's going to feel that way going into the Texans. And then make a move right afterwards. I mean, look, they were 27th in scoring defense and 30th in total defense last year. Obviously, DeMeco is interested in changing that around. So now you have your young quarterback of the future. You go and get a big piece in Will Anderson Jr. You made a big aggressive move. You had the smoke screen there. Yep. Apparently, some people were buying it. So I love it. I love the aggression that the Texans showed.
Dave, dare I say that the team that made the trade with the Houston Texans won the draft? The Texans drafted C.J. Stroud at number 2 overall, but then they traded their 2024 first-round pick in order to move up from number 12 to number 3 to draft Will Anderson. The Arizona Cardinals, you can make an argument, won the draft last night. Not because they made a trade out of the third round, out of the number 3 overall spot, but think about this for a second. The Cardinals drafted the left tackle that they wanted anyway in Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. But more importantly, they got the Houston Texans first-round pick next year. We know the Texans will likely be good, but not this year, which means that first-round pick in 2024 could potentially be a top 5 pick in a draft where we know Caleb Williams is going to be there, Drake May going to be there, Quinn Ewers out of Texas going to be there. Spencer Rattler, he might have a resurgence. He was supposed to win the Heisman 2 years ago. He going to be there. DJ Uiagalelei, quarterback who was at Clemson, left Clemson, now at Oregon State. He might have a resurgence. He going to be there. To hold the Texans 2024 first-round pick. As baffling as that may sound right here, right now, I actually think, Dave, you could make an argument that the Cardinals won the draft because of the value of the commodity that they received.
I love it. It's chess, not checkers. And for a team that needs as much as the Cardinals do, they need everything. It's a great idea. I love it. I just want to throw out there, all of this stuff sounds great in a vacuum a year ahead of time.
Yeah, very true.
Seattle was supposed to be picking at the top of this draft because they were sorry, and Denver was okay giving up a pick because they were going to be good. Seattle used Denver's pick to pick in the top 5 last night. So give DeMeco Ryans, Will Anderson, and C.J. Stroud, and I'm just saying, I'm not banking on that pick being at the top. It might be. Yeah. But sitting here a year ahead of time, it is a risk. The Texans could be picking 18th next year.
You said something fascinating. I have to stop down because this might be the most interesting conversation you haven't yet heard. When the Texans traded Shady from pick number 12 to pick number 3, they traded their first-round pick in 2024 when they could have traded the Cleveland Browns first-round pick in 2024 because they had the Cleveland Browns pick because of Deshaun Watson. Dave and I were arguing, right? I was like, you can't trade the Browns pick because that's to assume that the Browns are actually going to be worse than you are.
Right.
But Dave was like, come on now. Like,
if I'm the GM, I'm saying that's all well and good, DeMeco. I know you're a good coach and you're going to coach these guys up. We're not parting with our pick. We, on paper, look like a team that should be picking in the top 10. The Browns are not. The Browns, if Deshaun Watson can figure his stuff out, are one of the best rosters in the NFL. I would not be willing to do that, but hey, it is a fascinating conversation because I guarantee you, with his Bama guy rushing the passer and C.J. Stroud playing quarterback, DeMeco Ryans is probably pretty bullish on what his team can do right away, if I had to guess.
Okay, so who won the first round in your mind? Texans/Cardinals. What's your answer?
I thought when I got to set today that Shady was going to have his Eagles flagged. Honestly.
That would be obvious.
Okay.
You know they won.
Obvious doesn't mean that it's not awesome. The Eagles crushed this. And the trades are fun. We can talk about the Cardinals' future and what that might look like. Right now, we know that the Eagles addressed the biggest strength on their roster, maybe the biggest strength in the NFL, with 2 blue-chip prospects. They had 70 sacks last year. 70. It's the most in 30, 35 years. They lose Javon Hargrave to San Francisco. Oh, that's cool. Fine. Pay him all that money. We'll go draft Jalen Carter, widely regarded as the best pure prospect in this draft class, at number 9 overall. And all they had to do was give up a 4th-round pick to get there. Howie Roseman, do you need an intern? Do you need I'll get your coffee, man. I don't know. I want to learn at the feet of the master. This guy's amazing. And if that wasn't impressive enough, Nolan Smith, his Georgia teammate, widely regarded as a top 15 prospect, he falls down to number 30 because he's quote-unquote undersized, and they snatch him up too. Guess what? He's got the same physical profile as Hassan Reddick. I don't know if he's going to be that good, but he is the same build. He's 6'1.5", he's 238. He does all of the combine drills, freaky fast. I'm taking a chance on that every time. And now the Eagles have 2 badass Georgia guys to add to their other 2 badass Georgia guys.
And you know who's going to have trouble with that this year?
Probably the Dallas Cowboys, if I had to guess. It sounds like a handful.
Yeah. So we talked about the obvious, right? Who won the draft? The Houston Texans, they did a lot. The Eagles, they did a lot. But, Shady, you were surprised by a couple moves that occurred in the first round. Everything wasn't all glamorous, but some things were. What was your biggest surprise of the first round yesterday?
I got to say a couple of things. One is 2 first-round running backs in the first 12 picks?
Yep.
We're back, baby. We are back. That's unbelievable. Like, you haven't really seen that
Bryce
in such
Young,
a long time. Yeah.
And Gibbs.
Them two. Yep.
Bijan Robinson.
Bijan Robinson, excuse me.
And then another one is a big surprise was Richardson to the Colts.
Why'd that surprise you?
I mean, you know what? Like, I love college football, right? Probably not as much as Dave, but I love it. So I like to go look at tape. I like to look at stats, highlights, everything. And as I go back and look at Richardson's stats and highlights in his career, it's like, if I'm going to take a number 4 pick, I want to get a guy, right? The Texans, they got them a guy quarterback, C.J. Stroud, right? Bryce Young,
Panthers.
For the Panthers, they got them a player, a guy. You look at his stats, you look at his highlights. When I go to Florida and look at Richardson, it's like, his numbers is okay. Last year, you was splitting time. You splitting time. You weren't even playing. You was trying to fit on the field. So if I'm going to pick a guy at number 4 to be my franchise quarterback right now, You pick a quarterback at like, what, 20, 32, he has time to grow. Pick him first, second, third, or fourth, he got to play now. And I don't see how he can go from trying to get on the field to actually being a guy. That right there to me is a stretch.
Anthony Richardson is the most exciting player for me in the first round because it will either be feast or it will be famine. He will either go out there and ball within the first 24 months of his NFL career, or he will go out there and fall. I do not think there is an in-between. Anthony Richardson was not a great college football player, but when it came down to his measurables at the NFL Combine, we've never seen anything like it. 6'4", 250 pounds, 4'4", 41-inch vertical. Anthony Richardson, an absolute freak when it comes to measurements. Never seen a quarterback like him. Very exciting. I wasn't super surprised. But, Joy, what were you surprised by in the first round? That
surprised me. But then the Combine, like, people get very excited about the Combine. He might have single-handedly brought the Combine back.
Seriously.
Like, we were kind of ignoring the Combine for a little while. He got himself into that position by how well he performed at the Combine. And usually that really only works for more fringe players that are going to go later in the draft. So for him to put himself in that position is really it's interesting. I'm with you. It's exciting. Yeah. It can go either way. Also, Detroit was a little confusing.
Very surprising.
It's a weird draft.
Very surprising.
Especially that high. Like, to Shay's point, it's great, obviously. I happen to like running back, Shady. I think they're very important. So I don't think that they should get drafted that low anyway. But for Detroit, you already have a strong running back room.
Yeah, a couple of them.
That's really not where I would have.
They gave David Montgomery a healthy chunk of change.
Yeah, he's a hell of a player.
Right. Now, they may move Swift. Who knows? But that was a little confusing for me. Also, Will Levis slipping was interesting.
That was. Dave, biggest surprise first round.
Yeah, it's Jahmyr Gibbs for me, and to a lesser degree, Jack Campbell, the Iowa linebacker, Detroit's other pick. You see this all the time in the NFL. Nerds like me sit up here and say, these positions aren't valuable. And then NFL GMs and coaches get together and watch this tape, and they say, I don't care about all that. This guy, Jahmyr Gibbs, can catch a swing pass and take it 65 yards. And this guy, Jack Campbell, hits everything that moves.
But here's my issue, Dave. Look, bring us on full camera. And Shady, I want your input at this running back position. Joy, you just alluded to it. DeAndre Swift, the running back that the Lions currently have, can take a swing pass 60 yards all the way to the crib.
He's nice.
He was doing that in the same division because DeAndre Swift out of Georgia, Jahmyr Gibbs out of Bama. So DeAndre Swift, who the Lions currently have, can do the same thing.
Injuries. I think I figured this out. Injuries for Swift, for sure, and he's on the last year of his deal. So, and drafts are supposed to be about more than just this season. But if you follow this draft cycle, this is not the most impressive receiver class. You know, and the receivers that are good, they're not speed demons. You know, Quentin Johnston, big body guy out of TCU, he's not a burner. Jackson Smith and Jigba out of Ohio State, again, fantastic receiver. Speed's not his calling card. Jahmyr Gibbs is fast as hell. And I think the Lions are looking to use him more as a do everything. Think of McCole Hardman in Kansas City.
Is it fair for me to be disappointed in the Lions draft considering how impressive the Lions were to end last season? They beat the Green Bay Packers when the Packers had everything on the line. The Lions truly had nothing to play for. It was the last game, quite literally, of the whole regular season that we were all collectively watching together. The Lions, with Dan Campbell as a head coach, seemingly have been making all of the right moves, have created a phenomenal coaching staff. But then, I'm not going to say you squandered 2 first-round picks, Shady, but Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12, head-scratcher. Jack Campbell, phenomenal linebacker. I played inside linebacker. I respect inside linebackers. But he got drafted higher than the likes of Bobby Wagner, drafted higher than the likes of, like, Dante Hightower, drafted higher than, like, future Hall of Fame linebackers. And Jack Campbell's great, but you can find great linebackers, Fred Warner, in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Is it okay for me to be upset with what the Lions did?
I don't like to overreact because we don't know anything. We don't know who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. So I'm going to give these guys the benefit of the doubt. But the process is strange to me. You know, where Detroit was picking, you could have drafted a much more valuable position, whether it's offensive line, whether it's cornerback. You could have bolstered a position that you get more bang for your buck. But if Jahmyr Gibbs is a beast, nobody's going to care.
Is the need, even though you're doing linebacker on linebacker crime right now. That's crazy. But, like, when the draft, I always look at what's available and who's in your division. Yeah. Who's in your division right now, who's the top, is the Vikings. And they have wide receivers. Why won't you get some cornerbacks? Because you need corners. You don't need another running back. You got to go what you need for your division. You see twice a year, and JJ is going to get crazy busy and give him crazy work. He does it every year.
Vikings drafted another receiver.
Come on. And he with the Pitt, too, right?
He started it.
Come
You're right,
on,
Jordan
come
Addison.
on,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on.
We're so glad.
We everywhere.
I mean,
He won 2 awards there. He won what's that
finished.
college
Yeah, he
award for?
did.
He won the
Finished
college.
Come on now.
Yeah.
I would have left too. If Kenny
USC.
Pickett left, I gotta leave.
Yeah, he had a nice.
I'm gonna go play with Caleb Williams.
Come on.
Can't blame him for that.
So much more great stuff coming up on this show.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.